Good morning. For our members online, it is 9:04 a.m. This is a meeting of the Zoning Ordinance Advisory Committee. Thank you all for being with us. Ms. Mann, can we start with the roll call, please?
Chair Hampton, Vice Chair Blair, Mr. Hall, he's here. Mr. Barry,
here.
Mr. McGregor, I don't see him. Maybe he's coming in later. Miss Bagley. I know that Mr. Reeves is out of town, and Ms. Popkin is also not present.
Thank you, Ms. May. So we have 5 members present. We have a quorum. So thank you all for being with us. We have one discussion item. Ms. Levy, thank you for being with us this morning. So I read it into the record and get into the briefing, please. Let me share my screen. Okay, our item this morning is DCA 212008. This is consideration of amending chapters 51 and 51A of the Dallas Development Code, sections 51A-2.102 definitions, 51-4.111, 51A.4111 agricultural AA district through 51A-4.117 manufactured home MHA district, 51A-4.209 residential uses, 51A-4.301 off-street parking regulations, 51A-4.4071 maximum impervious coverage, 51A-10.125 mandatory landscaping requirements, 51A-10.127 when landscaping must be completed, and related sections to consider developing appropriate standards associated with impermeability, permeability, pervious and impervious surfaces, including but not limited to definitions, paving, surfaces, materials, and applicability. Shall I begin? Oh, thank you. Okay, we'll go over background, purpose, issues, operational impact, proposed recommendations, and then our next step. Okay, some background. The City Plan Commission authorized the public hearing back on July 22nd, 2022. This was to consider amending chapters of 51 and 51A of our development code to develop appropriate standards associated with impermeability, permeability, pervious and impervious surfaces, including but not limited to definitions, paving, surfaces, materials, and applicability. So a series of events, staff met with, went through a series of months of different meetings where we met with internal staff to get input and help on, on this code amendment. We'll take a look at it. On April 27th, we met with Chair Hampton to get an understanding of the intent from the code amendment initiator's perspective. And then in March, we did some outreach meetings with the industry representatives. That would be the TREC, which is the Texas Real Estate Commission, and the Dallas Builders Association. And then from that meeting, they suggested that we meet with the directors also of Metro Tex Realtors and the Apartment Association of Greater Dallas. So we did that. A delay. It's frozen. Okay. Okay. So the purpose of the code amendment, based on what code initiators wanted us to look at, and what we've gathered from all of our research, is to address the concerns of natural infiltration of rainwater runoff, snow, ice melt that into the ground that's impeded by impervious surfaces. And also to address concerns regarding stormwater runoff, the heat island effect exacerbated by impervious surfaces, and then also to address concerns regarding compatibility of existing residential development. It's not going to advance that way. So the issues that came up really stemmed from a resident's concerns. So a resident had some documented concerns. They sent in a report, which spurred CPC's decision to initiate the hearing for a possible code amendment. And the document described concerns regarding stormwater runoff and the heat island effect. But also, of course, there were concerns regarding compatibility of existing front yards of residential lots. And the picture here kind of speaks volumes to, you know, some of the issues that we're trying to address today. So what we want to do is we want our code to align with a lot of our city policies. We have some great city policies in place, and we're just trying to align everything, all of our regulations with that. So in particular, we want to align this code amendment with our CCAP, of course, our climate environmental climate action plan, our housing policies, and our racial equity plan. So what we have are goals to reduce the environmental impacts of flooding and the heat island effect, which again is largely exacerbated by stormwater runoff from the lack of soil infiltration from impervious surfaces. And, you know, of course, we see a lot of the impervious surfaces in large parking lots also for commercial developments. That's not our focus here. We're focusing on residential because that's really the nature of the issues that came up. And then also, we want to leave a lot of those regulations for parking lots with the parking code amendment, the future parking code amendment that will be coming up soon. So that'll address that part of it. And if you remember, there's a lot of design standards and environmental as part of that code amendment. And then, of course, compatibility with existing neighborhoods is also obviously an issue with, you know, development that already has, you know, lawn and, you know, these pervious natural surfaces, and then new development coming in where, you know, there's just a disproportionate amount of impervious surfaces or, you know, paving. I did want to mention, and I apologize, we do have Phil Irwin here today with us, and he is here to help us on the landscaping piece that he's helped us with. He's been instrumental in helping us with some of the amendments that pertain to the landscaping requirements. So I'm sure we'll hear from him as well, and he's here to answer questions. Okay, so address, you know, we all know that we're having a lot of heat issues. You know, we're having heat dome right now. We're having, you know, just a lot of heat impacts. So these are heat maps from the Trust for Public Lands that they put together for Dallas. And I believe these were actually put together to help Dallas determine where additional parks and those type of uses might best serve Dallas. So this is the heat island effect on land surfaces from impervious surfaces in Dallas. You know, you can kind of see the hot spots and where those are concentrated in the city. And of course, you see that, you know, the lakes and the parks are a lot of the cooler areas. Just another one here, the heat island effect, obviously, what it impacts is the air temperatures, right? It makes our atmosphere or our air temperatures rise from the heat that is radiated, you know, from all of these impervious surfaces and then emitted back into the atmosphere. So this is just one showing that effect on the air temperatures from these impervious surfaces in Dallas. And then also one on air temperatures and greenhouse gas emissions from those surfaces, and runoff concentrations and immediate impacts from impervious surfaces on our natural resources or our assets. And as you can see, that's really heavily concentrated around our Trinity River area. Definitely a natural resource we want to protect. I'm going to go through some proposed recommendations. And then I have several slides that are that have illustrations of these proposed recommendations. So one, we came up with the definition for impervious coverage, and just to back up a little bit, we looked at an existing definition that we have for impervious surfaces or coverage in some of our other ordinances. Really, that's the stormwater ordinance. And that's in the report, you know, so I'm not going to go through that, but I did want to touch on it. You know, we looked at it to see if we could use it so that we wouldn't have conflicting definitions, but it just didn't really capture what we needed it to capture as far as in our zoning ordinance and our regulations. So what we have for a definition, impervious coverage means any surface that prevents or substantially impedes the natural infiltration of stormwater into the ground and includes, but is not limited to, hardscape surfaces such as asphalt, concrete, wood, crushed granite, pavers, synthetic turf, compacted soil or rock, and similar surfaces. And then, of course, we want to exclude some things from the impervious definition and regulations, and that would be your borders such as landscape barriers, retaining walls, fences, things like that. So those would not be included in any calculations for the impervious coverage. And then also just want to say that there are impervious coverage calculations, which y'all probably are very aware of, in that factor into the utility rates from stormwater. And, you know, from 2,000 square feet, I think up to 2,000 square feet, the rate's like $4.64, something like that. But the rates go up quite a bit. You know, they go up in different ranges from there based on the amount of impervious surface. And that's on an entire lot, though. It's, you know, it's not just in a particular area. So I just did want to mention that. So we have a definition recommended. We also have applying maximum impervious coverage to residential front yards. You know, as we addressed in the report, we really want to focus on the front yards. And, you know, we want, there's several reasons for that. And again, that's in the report as well. But first of all, it's much easier to view a front yard, you know, and get those quick calculations. We didn't want a lot of cost factor for residences to have to come up with calculations for impervious coverage. And so it's very easy, as you could see, you know, from that picture that we had, to be able to calculate, you know, what those coverages are. And we'll go through that in a few minutes with the slides. But also another factor, we really just, we want the residents to have the flexibility to use their property and their backyards, you know, for their own enjoyment and, you know, as they see fit. Now, we do have other ordinances that address lot-to-lot drainage. So, you know, they can't just divert all of their water, their stormwater, onto another property. you know, that's handled in our code already in other sections. Also with the pool, there's a specific section also that addresses that where, you know, the drainage from a pool cannot go onto an adjacent property. So we feel like that's pretty much covered anyway. It's covered in the stormwater utility rates as well because it covers the entire lot. So impervious coverage maximum, we want to establish a lower base maximum percentage without design standards first. And we base that really on other cities. We did look at a lot of other cities, you know, across the nation, really. I believe it was 22 of them. And to see what, you know, what, if anything, they were regulating as far as impervious coverage. So then we want to incentivize design standards. So that would allow an additional impervious coverage percentage up to 10% with some design incentives. Okay, so we will go through. I want to tell you that we have some incredibly great drawings that were created for us from Don Raines in Planning and Urban Design, and he's just fantastic. And you know, this is one of his passion projects too. So unfortunately, he could not be here, but you know, but we have these great drawings to illustrate. We wanted to see just what the percentages would leave us with. You know, we wanted some good illustrations for you to be able to see this. So this is one from our recommendations, a maximum of 40%. And again, that's without the incentivized design standards, the additional 10%. That's just straight up the maximum 40%. And this is a typical R75 50-foot lot. So what you would do, you would take the 50-foot for the lot width, and then we used a setback, front yard setback of 25 feet because that's pretty typical. And you just multiply that, you get the 1,250 square feet, and then the 40% of that is your 500 square feet. So that's the impervious coverage area that you have to work with. And so then what Don did, he illustrated the driveway and the square footage and showing what you could have. You could still have a walkway and a little landing, you know. So, and then the second part on the right side of the drawing, he's showing you that you can have even more impervious coverage or surfaces if you do a ribbon driveway. And so that's what that is. If you didn't figure that out, that 100 and then the 40, you know, 100 square feet and then the 40 square feet that's a ribbon driveway. So you get quite a bit more surface. So that's kind of the idea. You know, you can take that 40% and do, you know, just do a variety of different designs or however you want to do it. But we're thinking 40% might be a good match. So I'm just going to go through very quickly all the other scenarios to show you, because we have the R75 again with the 50-foot lot width with 30%. That's the one on the top. Same setback, of course. And you can see, you know, you get 375 square feet of impervious coverage, right? Because that's 30%. So it still gives you a driveway, but that's probably a one-car driveway. And, you know, not a whole lot more until you get to a ribbon driveway. And again, that's always going to give you, you know, a little more flexibility, right? So, and then the one on the bottom is 40% again. So, you know, just showing that. And then we have it also with a 40-foot lot width, 30% and 40%. So the one on the top is 30%. The one on the bottom is 40%. So you can see those differences, but I'm not gonna stop here unless y'all have questions and want to come back. I just want to show you that we did these analysis. And 60-foot lot width, single family R75, same thing. Then we did the duplex at 40%, 60-foot, 75-foot lot widths to see what that would look like. Townhouse and multifamily at 75-foot lot widths. And those are the drawings. So, you know, again, incentivizing the design standards, we do have a caveat. There is the additional incentive available, which I'll go through in a minute, to allow up to that additional 10% impervious coverage, but in residential districts. But that's when sites do not front onto a parkway street. And the reason for that, of course, y'all probably know, the parkway streets follow our most vulnerable, sensitive, flood-prone areas in the city. And there's not that many, but those are the ones we really need to focus on and protect, by those watersheds, Goes Creek, and, all of those. Okay, so incentivizing design standards, again, some wonderful photos, compliments of Mr. Raines. But it shows you, these are front entry driveways, and they have, just some pervious paving, so that is one of our incentivized design standards. I just wanted to show this is kind of a good illustration of what that could look like. And then a ribbon driveway, good one of that. And of course, the one on the lower right is rear entry or side. I think this is a corner lot, so it's actually a side entryway with a driveway and a garage, I believe. But as you can see, there's a lot of green. There's a lot of natural pervious development in the front. And then the one on the lower right, upper right, it has Grasscrete. This is a townhome development. That's actually a fire lane, but it's grass-created. So, a nice pervious type area that still serves the purpose that could be driven on. So those are the type of things that we want to incentivize. And then the lower right is, they've used pretty much all pervious paving, your brick pavers for the entire development nearly. And those are townhomes at UTA. Y'all probably have seen. Okay, and then we have some incentivized design standards for garages, basically, or access. So if you have an alley that's provided and paved in the back, then if you just have your access via a rear entry type, alley garage, then and you're less than 20 feet from an alley, we are allowing that. That is actually a code requirement now, where you have to be 20 feet from an alley. And we are trying to remove that through this code amendment to facilitate, let's say you have a garage that's in an alley that's maybe 15 feet, or, it's not quite 20 feet. We want to encourage and allow the ability for people to access and utilize that alley in that, and so we want to remove that. We still have the 20 feet distance from a street. We're maintaining that. And I know that our transportation department would love it if we lifted that one. That's his realm. But anyway, so if you just have to have an automatic garage door opener. So we want to facilitate that. And you can, go up to the additional 10% maybe. And if you have no alley provided and you have front entry, we have, some of the desired design, as you can see from the photo on the right, where you're set back, with the garage where it's placed. You have I guess you call it more of a side loaded, sometimes you call it a swing garage. And then, so it's just the placement of the garage mostly on the lot. Again, you still have the garage door opener requirement. And then also, though, permeable paved driveways, maybe up to 20 feet, maybe. Otherwise, a maximum of 12 feet might be something that we would look at as well. And then green infrastructure. And I put these under no alley provided, but these aren't necessarily, for that. But green infrastructure per our street and drainage design manual as amended, that would have to be completely approved, for engineering structural. But, so we're thinking permeable paving and grasscrete, like you saw, might be some good ways to do it. Okay, so the rest of the recommendations. In order to help facilitate and help the homeowners to meet these requirements, of course, we want to be able to reduce the parking requirements because we can't keep mandating 2 parking spaces, right? If we're going to, and say that we want less paving and access, So we're proposing no required parking or 1 parking space per unit or unit. Then alley setback, we talked about that. Adding neighborhood stabilization overlay NSO options. The NSOs right now are very limited in what they can also vary from, I guess you could say, or change from the regulations. They have a setback, a front setback that they can do either stricter or lesser within a range, but it's just that setback distance and that's all. So what we would like to do is add for them the impervious coverage as an option so that they could do a lesser or greater as they see fit for their end. So communities or neighborhoods. And then landscaping requirements, a clarification, artificial turf and permeable paving is not allowed within the required landscaping area in the front yard. And again, Phil can address any of this, but add a minimum number of trees based on lot size for lots over 1 acre. That was missing before. The range went from 7,500 square feet all the way up. And so Phil's just splitting that off. 7,500 square feet to 1 acre would have a certain number of trees, and then 1 acre and above would have a certain number. And then updating some additional clarifications. So staff recommends that ZOAC hold under advisement for discussion and staff to bring back a draft ordinance back to ZOAC based on our discussion today, basically. And our timeline, would depend on our discussion today, obviously, right? So with that, that's my presentation. I'd be happy to answer questions. Like I said, Phil's here as well.
Thank you. As we begin to open it up for questions from the members, I did want to acknowledge that Mr. McGregor is with us in person this morning, and Commissioner Carpenter has also joined us online. I'm going to start with the first question that I'm anticipating coming. Will you be circulating your presentation to all the members so that we can maybe review the diagrams in more detail?
Absolutely.
Thank you. And just wanted to make sure that as we're starting our discussion, our goal really today is to give staff additional direction to bring back proposed code amendments that would then be evaluated by ZOAC, make whatever determination we might make. Is that correct?
It is. I mean, we're ready to, come back with a draft actual ordinance for you if that's where you're
The direction where we go.
Right,
Understood. Just wanted to set that. And Ms. May, one question for you, if I may. We didn't have any registered speakers online. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And I see we have one member in the audience. Sir, are you here regarding the impervious coverage amendment, DCA 212-008? And were you wanting to speak to the body on that? All right. Well, I think it's acceptable. We'll go ahead and take our speaker that's with us in person, and then we'll open it for discussion. Thank you. Sir, if you could please state your name and address for the record.
Make sure that.
Oh, there we go.
Will you do that one more time so we
Right.
capture it for the record? Thank you.
David Lady, Dallas Builder Association, 5816 West Plano Parkway, 75093. I'm the Director of Ground Affairs. represent the home building industry. We, along with some other stakeholders, have had the opportunity to have conversations with Ms. Levy and staff. I would say that we had a very light concept presentation of it. This is the first time we've really seen a report. I can't speak on behalf of my other stakeholders, although I would imagine they're interested. We'd probably urge a little more patience on this and a little more time so we can review this, and they can probably offer their comments as well. I have had our builder and developer members, including a gentleman who's on a plan commission in another city, offer some comments on this and things they've seen. And I just want to go into this real quick and we'll kind of break it down for you. Just some items that we've seen in there that it could actually have some negative impacts and some of the things on the intent that's claimed in the report. Regarding page 5, it gets into equity. Obviously, we are like others. We'd like to see places like South Dallas developed. We think missed opportunity there. Like others, I think we're just as frustrated as anybody else how long it's taken to get that going. But the city does make the effort to try and get down there, and so do we. There's a reference made about providing more equity. We want to note that those areas that they refer to will not change, as the coverage that exists there would be considered legal and non-conforming, and will be allowed to be remain. The benefits of this would actually go to development and redevelopment, which actually pressure those areas, and some of those people that are there might get priced out anyway. So we always have that consideration we have to give anyway. So I might want to bring that to your attention. We think this could actually hurt some of the low-income areas where those lots are. There's a bigger share of smaller lots. People want personal driveways. They want 2-car driveways up to the garage. They want that for marketability for the house. They want their little personal sidewalk from the driveway to the house, or maybe an ADA compliant issue. When they don't have those, it impacts their ability, what they're marketing, and then also their ability to resell their home and build equity in the next home as well. So we think that could actually impact them. Some of the items we've run into is on the maximum percentage coverage. The thinking is geared towards single family development. However, we have townhomes that are front loaded driveways, and this could be very challenging for them to be able to manage and have the same percentage with what they need that markets the home, or what the person wants, what the home buyer wants. So it could be a problem for those townhomes as well. So we want to point that out. On the impervious coverage, it says not limited to compacted soil, items like that. These phrases are very open. It locks out the ability to do a pervious driveway, obviously compacted soil for the weight there. There are some, we think this could, with these standards in the future, it could be in conflict with water conservation and landscapes that may be implemented in an area that runs short of water. We're concerned that some of the language may move out things like some synthetic turfs and newer science that actually work and collect a significant amount of water into the soil and prevent runoff in the long term. We do appreciate the stormwater effort in this. We were the ones that brought to the city on redevelopment infill building the need to make sure that we were showing that you were preventing lot-to-lot drainage in the plans. That didn't happen for a long time. We'd run into older lots, and we wanted to prevent that on new lots. So that was our idea. So we appreciate that effort. On the impervious percentage, again, the maximum coverage won't be compatible with some of the things that are front-loaded. We were looking at page 10, the incentivizing design standards. On page 2, they mentioned that permeable paving causes runoff. Well, here they offer, on page 2, they're talking about permeable paving would cause the runoff issue. But on page 10, they bring an incentive and they make it as an alternative compliance. We think that's a bit conflicting with what they have earlier in the report. Page 11 and 12, the incentives have a lot of benefits, but it could lead to some confusion as people are trying to get their plans approved. And then a couple items here when we get related into the parking, and obviously we kind of agree sometimes you don't want to have, like, we see multifamily units where they're overparked, and we think that should be something where maybe the developer brings in a study to prove up, hey, I don't need this much parking, and make sure it's fair and it's really legitimate concern before it's reduced. But on the elimination of 20-foot offsets of garages, many residents use those garages for storage and count on the driveway to park their cars. This could lead to more cars being parked on the street. Some of these parking requirements and the incentives could actually push it back, and then all of a sudden you've got the car parked blocking the sidewalk along the right-of-way there and items like that. And we've seen what can happen over near areas like Lower Greenville where people get upset with people parked on the street and items like that. Obviously, we we don't like getting drug in the middle of that too. Front garages, again, front loaded garages closer than 20 feet property line when we're running into little parking issues there. So just a few of the items there. I do notice that you have the items in here regarding the tree ordinance. I would point out that when Article 10 was negotiated, that was a very long, drawn-out process. And here you have an option where you're reopening Article 10. It would probably best to address any tree requirements by going directly to Article 10 and leaving that as its own separate ordinance, rather than what we would see as a backdoor way into renegotiating an ordinance that was rather contentious and rather lengthy in the process and had a sign off of a lot of stakeholders. And then the other part would be related to the heat island effect. I would remind you that residential construction and development is the sector that has provided you your urban forest. We're the ones that have yards and items like that. If you're going to look at heat island impact, perhaps you keep it best to your highways and your commercial areas that really produce the lion's share of that. I think it's unfair to put that on the residents. And then one other follow-up item some of my members asked, if you're going to say, hey, they can't have an artificial turf, what are you going to do when the person moves in there and they decide they're going to put their own artificial turf in there? How is the city even going to be able to enforce that? Items like that, I think look at proper items there. So these are just a few of the items that come in. Obviously for us, we're always worried about, I say housing affordability, but really these days I think we can use the term housing attainability, the ability to provide them, but also that exists at all levels. And with Dallas being our flagship city in the region, it's imperative that they remain competitive. So if you have any questions, we're here to be of service, but we do have concerns about it, and we offer any input we can in the future too. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us today, and I'm glad you're in contact with staff and hope you all will stay engaged throughout the process. Thank you, sir.
Lady, L-E-H-D-E. And you can go on the website and see my big ugly mug on the picture of the staff there.
Yes, I just wonder if the speaker could submit those points to us in writing, or is he doing? Do we?
And hopefully, I'm not sure I had my mic on. If I didn't say that, I'll say it one more time. Mr. Bering, I was acknowledging that you had sent some questions on to staff and was asking if you wanted to kick us off on discussion this morning.
Sure. Yeah, you were muted there for a second. I guess my first question was just when you say we're talking residential here, are we just talking single family residential or all residential districts?
Yes, we're talking about basically all our residential districts, our R districts, duplex, townhouse, manufactured home, and multifamily.
Yeah, then I guess one question I had is, we got some notes here. And maybe I missed it. What is allowed for pervious surfaces on driveways or parking areas? I'm aware of some projects, multifamily projects, that have like decomposed granite for the parking areas. Is there like a maximum currently that's allowed, or how is that addressed?
Currently, there are no impervious coverage requirements, and that's what we're trying to amend. There's a lot coverage requirement for every zoning district, but that is only for your buildings, your buildable area. That's not what this is. Again, this is just the space between the front setback and the front property line. That's all that is. So again, so again, if it's a 50-foot lot width and you have a 25-foot setback, it's just that area. It has nothing to do with the lot coverage, buildable lot coverage area. Did that answer your question?
Not really. I'll try to reword it. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay.
I guess so. What we're not addressing here is anything beyond the front yard setback.
Let me go to the.
So
Yes,
I-
yes, you're correct. But was your question, what are the allowed alternative paving services right now?
correct.
Okay. And I think maybe Mr. Narvaez, if you're available, do you have either David or Phil maybe? You don't know that? Okay. There he is.
I am available and listening, but if you don't, can you see me and hear me?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Navarez. We see you now.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be listening to the questions and definitely the presentation by Lori. But I'm doing that at the convenience of my desk, so please forgive me about that. I'm listening. Can you repeat it again about the minimum standard width specifically? Can you see me and
Allowed
hear me?
materials. What are the alternative allowed materials currently, and would there be any recommendation for additional?
For paving.
Yes, very good. So Public Works is the department that allows us reviewers to consider any alternative material. However, it requires an agreement. It's a deed restriction on a property to find alternative materials other than concrete or asphalt. By default, the requirement is for Chapter 51A, any permeable surface must be concrete or asphalt. The alternative materials, most of them are more expensive, but less permeable, are listed in a sheets that Public Works prepared and that could be amended administratively, definitely as a result of this work. But as of right now, we have but a given list, and I believe there's 7, and I can distribute that to the commission right away through Lori or Sarah.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. I think that would be helpful. One point of clarification, do those apply to residential or private development, or is that simply within the public right of way?
Specifically for parking purposes in private property.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Within private property. You made me think, so what happens if someone wants alternative materials in the public right of way? They exist as well, and the same applies. So if someone wants stones or brick or pavers, they would have to go through the exact same. The list that I'm going to provide the commission is very specific to alternative materials for driveways or parking within private property.
Mr. Bering, back to you. Sorry, I was hearing questions on one side. We were making sure we were trying to get your question answered. So apologies for jumping in.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. So just to confirm, then I think you mentioned any proposed material outside of concrete or asphalt triggers a deed restriction on the property.
Triggers a non-standard material agreement. That's what we call it. It's a non-standard material agreement, and it's effectively a deed restriction on the property that you put on yourself, and that's for purposes of obligating a property owner to maintain the non-standard materials to a given set of standards. It's penalizing someone for reducing permeability. Sorry, that's
yeah. Is that in our scope to open that up, or is that a separate item?
Well, I think Ms. May has a comment to share with us.
So to answer that question directly, I think no, it's not really within our scope because we're only dealing with Article 4 amendments, and that might be something that needs to be addressed directly with Public Works and how they administer how do you make exceptions. But I did want to ask, Mr. Navarro, you said a deed restriction. Is this something that they file in the county deed records, or is it just an agreement between the property owner and Public Works?
It's my understanding that any agreement with the city needs to be recorded. I have two tasks then. Both items I can get back to you immediately within hours, and then next time we meet with ZOAC, you can present those findings. So I'm going to provide you a list, a given list of non-standard materials, and two, the process to approve non-standard deviations from asphalt or concrete, and whether or not it requires to be recorded with the county. It's my understanding that any agreement is recorded as a separate instrument, but I will double check and give you a clear answer.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. Mr. Bering, additional follow-up?
Thank you. Well, it seems incredibly restrictive and an important point here with, I think, what we're trying to accomplish, right, in permitting some of these alternative pervious surfaces. I guess my other point would be, and I feel like I say this with a lot of the items that we consider, I think looking at a standard on a lot percentage basis is somewhat problematic in that it disproportionately affects smaller sites. Some of what I had emailed out was related to kind of what you might call missing middle development. So, 4-6 units on a 50 or 75 foot wide lot. And just given the current standards of parking and of driveway width, for example, if we're requiring the same concrete driveway width of a 4-unit building as a 200-unit building, then the percentage of lot coverage is much higher for the smaller development. So I would just encourage us to maybe think about that more and possibly outside of kind of a lot percentage basis. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bering. Other questions? Mr. McGregor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a bunch of them, but I'll just do them one at a time. I didn't see anything here that anticipates the non-conforming existing property. How would we deal with those?
I'm sorry, did you ask about non-conforming?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there really wouldn't be non-conforming right now, because if this goes through, I mean, whatever we come out with for this ordinance, it would be, effective at the date of the ordinance. So it's new construction, basically, is what this would pertain to.
And how does that work if you have a renovation? So a property is you replace your driveway on a property, because does that count as new construction, or do you keep it non-conforming after you rebuild your driveway?
Did you ask about if someone came back after the ordinance and did some, I guess, change their driveway or something?
Let's say in my house, I replaced the driveway.
Yeah,
the house currently is non-conforming.
Then
when I replace the driveway, do I have to make it conforming?
Yeah, then it would impact them. I mean, if they come back and they, try to pave over the entire lot or front area after this goes into effect, then they're not really.
So I would answer in that I would imagine development services would consider this more of a non-conforming structure change. So the regulations regarding non-conforming structures is that you can repair and maintain and renovate non-conforming structures. But if you want to expand, it has to conform to what the regulation is. Okay. So I think that, if you have a non-conforming driveway and you just want to, because more than the maximum coverage percentages, you can resurface and repair and fix your driveway. But if you want to enlarge it, that's when you have to make it conforming. And that could either be by meeting the code, doing the incentivized bonus that we're proposing, or you can go to the Board of Adjustment, which we've also proposed to be a special
Okay.
exception. So for our places that, you know, I front on a thoroughfare and it's real busy, nobody can park in front of my house, and I really need some extra space, you know, and so I want to add a circular driveway, they can go to the Board of Adjustment and they can hold a public hearing and determine, you know, if the factors are present to grant them a special exception.
And that would be true as well for new construction.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, new construction or new driveways or however.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Hall?
Sorry, I have several too, but just real quick, do y'all know the methodology for determining these heat maps?
The heat maps?
Yeah, if you don't, it's no big deal. I'm just,
Yeah, I really don't. Like I said, I wasn't involved in the project that the, you know, Trust for Public Land did for Dallas. I can try to find out.
okay. I'm just scientifically curious. Okay, artificial turf. As we walk through the neighborhoods, we take these long walks, and we're seeing a lot of artificial turf. And I just assumed it was permeable because some people even have sprinklers popping up these things. So I was real interested to hear that that's not considered pervious, because we're seeing entire front yards that have been converted to artificial, you know. So I'm just curious about that. And we're seeing a lot of non-standard material driveways too, like you're showing up here, in duplexes, in the duplex streets, and in the single residential. So it seems like there's a lot of this going on, and I was just shocked to hear that that's not standard and might require deed restriction. Are people just doing this and asking for forgiveness? I mean, you know, but there's a lot of it going on. Finally, the question between the cost differential of building a slab driveway versus a ribbon driveway. Do y'all know if it's more costly to build a ribbon driveway than it is a slab?
I don't have the cost information. I would think less concrete would be less expensive. I mean,
But
if
it's
they're-
more
but I don't know if it's
labor intensive. I would
right.
think.
If it's more labor intensive, I don't know. I just know it's less concrete, which is costly in and of itself. And I think, I mean, you brought up a good point about you know, permeable or pervious versus impervious on these surfaces and alternative surfaces. I think, not to put you on the spot, but I think Phil could really explain soil compaction and how that impacts it, and could give some good insight into that if you don't mind.
I'll give it a shot. One thing to think about when it comes to synthetic turf material is how it is applied, how is it installed, what type of material did they use, and how is it placed under the soil. Main factor here being soil compaction. So when we're talking about doing impervious surfaces, we're talking about what happens not only what you see, but what's happening below ground. And that affects anything that we're going to also apply with landscaping. So a tree roots are typically not going to be able to function in an area above a 90% proctor, you know, of soil density. So basically when they're doing an installation, if they're doing heavy compaction, then what's put on top is just, you know, what you see, but what's happened to the soil beneath it. So synthetic turf basically is one of those things we probably should have good conversations about how it's actually installed and what types of synthetic turf there are. And perhaps that might give us better variable or discussion as to what could be applied or what should not be applied based on the soil compaction studies that would come with that material. And so if it was to be something to be brought before the department, we would have to be able to see some kind of figures from from the manufacturer as to how this is supposed to be installed and applied? And then also, how is it applied on the site?
And this is why, we're pointing to, as approved per the design manual, because, the engineering part has to be approved for the alternative materials, and they're not listed because, and I understand, you want to know what's in there, and it's in there in the document online, but they are in the process of amending it, is my understanding. I don't know exactly when, it may be a year, but it's, the materials are continually changing, so we don't really want to define or specify because, next year there may be new materials, and, they're constantly updating that. So that's why we were kind of trying to point to what gets approved engineering wise, to make sure it's done properly and as amended, so that they could continue to just, update it as needed.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Members, other questions? Oh, Mr. Navarez, did you have a follow-up?
Thank you, ma'am. I do want to apologize for scaring, but I hope I did, because this is an important, for us reviewers, it's very important that you take into account all these items. No, there is no need for a county recorded deed when property is permitted alternative materials. The process, it requires approval from the assistant director. So our assistant director will sign off, and they will create the agreement must be that there are 2 copies. One is saved with the owners, and there's how does it called, subsequent owners, heirs, successors, or their assigns. And then we, the city, keep a copy as well. It's maintained with our records of their engineering files. That's the extent of the agreement process. What I owe the commission and my colleagues is a copy of both the list of alternative materials currently permitted for consideration, and then 2, a copy of the application itself. And then the second page will show the signatures that are required, and that's the owner and our engineering assistant director. I hope that answered Mr. Barron's question. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Navarez. Members, other questions? Vice Chair Blair. Ms. Bagley.
Just concerns, and partly from what our speaker raised, I guess it just strikes me as requiring a garage door remote control is elitist. It's not everybody's going to be able to have a garage. I don't know what it costs to have a garage door that opens. It just looks like it's a,
Well,
yeah, it just sounds that way to me.
okay, if I may, we're not requiring it, and it's
But you-
only required if they're not gonna abide by the 20-foot requirement that's already in code now.
So they would still think you're going to keep the 20-foot.
If they're 20 feet away, then they're fine.
Yeah.
If
No,
they're,
but
it was a way to allow them to be less than 20 feet. Maybe, you have older sections, or, for whatever reason, they're not 20 feet away. We wanted to make sure that they were able to utilize, that alley access if they were wanting to. And, so that was a way to allow them to do it.
The other question, and our speaker brought it up as well. I've been married a very long time, and I have never been able to park a car in the garage. It's not stuff, it's my husband's stuff. And it's his workshop, and he has an enormous garage workshop now. I think that we all have, look at all the storage unit companies in town that we have now to think, but to not be able to, to just say that only people park their cars in garages is unrealistic. And that concerns me to think that. I also, I get into these questions, I like the permeable surfaces. I think they ought to be easier to do. I live on a half acre lot. I have a gravel driveway. Sometimes grass grows up in the driveway. My husband got a ticket for parking on the grass. It's a permeable surface. So if you're going to do this, everybody's got to be educated about how the permeable surface works. And I think that's really critical.
It's
He saw the ticket, he won.
Mhm.
But it's just this transition we need to have to these permeable surfaces, because I don't have a paved driveway. I have dust because we have concrete dust. But I think you just need to look at what looks good and what's reasonable. I've always had a ribbon driveway, so I think what Mr. Paul brings up is the cost is not so much in the concrete, but in the actual labor for doing this. It'd be good to know. Okay, I've rambled on. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And I thank you so much for bringing up the education piece, because that is an area that we really need. We need that education for sure, because, it's something different, right? It's something, I don't want to say new really, because it's been out for a while, but, it is something that's evolving, and, and not everyone is familiar with it. The developers aren't even, as familiar with it. And I think that's a big part of, why it's not being done, honestly, is that piece of it, the understanding of it.
Thank you, Ms. Bagley. Ms. Levy, Vice Chair Blair.
We're not getting any audio.
I'm sorry. I said, okay. I said that in reading the docket, I was surprised that I was not compliant in the number of trees that I need to have in my lot. And I will be working to correct that. But if we alter how much permeable versus non-permeable space, will that require a change to Article 10 as to how many trees we're supposed to have on a lot?
No, that would have no bearing on that. The Article 10 landscape ordinance for single-family duplex does not currently apply landscape area. It applies the number of trees that would be required in the front yard or actually fully on the property. So, and it varies based on the size of the property.
Oh, so if I have a R75 and I have what is it? The standard is 120 lot, whatever. Yeah, 120 lot size. And I have a 20-foot setback. And I need to have 2 trees in the front, a tree in the back, correct? Especially if I'm rear loaded.
For an R75, it would be 2 trees in the front and 1 additional tree.
And 1 additional tree, whether it's front or back.
Front or back.
So I need a total of 3 trees.
Correct.
So do you account for the size of the house on that lot? So if I have a 1,800, 1,900 square foot, I'm going to have more permeable surface than if I have a 2,500 square foot, whether I have a single story versus a two-story, it's gonna change the amount of permeable surface I'm gonna be able to have based on the number of stories, the size of the house, so on and so forth.
Right. So it's actually done by measurement. So if you're under 7,500 square feet, you're going to require 2 trees. 7,500 square feet larger, regardless of how much larger, it's 3 trees. So, and then you get down to a townhouse, still you're at 1 tree. It's less than 4,000 square feet. So we're talking about front yard setbacks, front yard area. So the trees are going to be planted in the front yard, or if you have a space in the backyard, you plant it there. If you have a space in the side yard, you can feasibly place a tree there. You can also possibly use a parkway if it's available. So essentially, I guess if we're talking about driveway locations, that does become more of a burden when you start talking about smaller lots, as far as where you're going to put a tree next to that driveway. Fortunately, hopefully in that townhouse situation, you'd have a driveway and then a small space that you can put a tree in a front yard green space.
Thank you. And something that our speaker spoke of was and that I think I read, and if I read it incorrectly, please correct me. The recommendation or staff's recommendation to change to a 1-car driveway versus a 2-car driveway. Did I read that wrong?
No, ma'am. Or Vice Chair Blair, the drawing was showing 1-car garages for some of the examples. We're not proposing that. We're actually recommending a parking reduction of 2 spaces are required right now, for the most part, for most of your residential. We're proposing either no required parking spaces, right? Or 1 parking space for residential. That's what we were.
So where are you proposing this reduction occur? On the street, or in the driveway?
That would be up to the builder. So, I mean, they could still build a 2 or more car garage if they really want to. It's just, there's no nexus to say, oh, we're going to restrict your permeable and impermeable pavement in the front yard, but you also have to build a bunch of parking. So what we're doing is we're taking that burden off of the developer or whatever. And, if they want to provide a 2 or more car garage, they can. They just need to also comply with the standard that we're proposing. It's just going to make it harder to comply if they must build a 2-car garage.
So you're saying you're making it harder to comply if they are building a 2-car garage?
If they're building a 2-car garage, they need to be aware of how much impervious surface they're adding to the front yard.
So let me.
And it's close, based on our research, what we're proposing is doable. It's just,
Because if you're going to have a maximum percentage of that impervious coverage, then yeah, I mean, you've got only a certain amount of square footage to work with to decide what you want to do with it. In the example here, the R75 lot, it is a 2-car garage. Now that driveway is, I think, 15 feet wide. And that allows you to also have the walkway and the landing. But again, the wider your driveway, the less room you're going to have to put a walkway or something else, right? Some other things that you want. And if you look at the drawing all the way over to the right, you get a lot more paving in different places if you do the ribbon driveway, for example.
But
right?
it costs
Because
more.
It's less square footage.
But we said generally it's going to cost more because of the labor.
I don't know, maybe it's being offset
don't-
by
we
all
don't know.
these other, the walkways and all the walkways and the porch and you know, all that other concrete that you're breaking up and putting in different places. I don't know. Maybe it balances out.
And what something else, and Mr. Barron has a question, his hands up. But something else the speaker spoke of, and Ms. Bagley said, in my community, I don't know very many residents that use a garage for garage. And we all have, and actually in my community, we have extremely large garages. My garage will take, it's deeper and wider, and I can put two full-size trucks side by side and still have room to have some storage. Which means I have an extremely wide driveway. And then what I'm noticing in my neighborhood is, because we have so many cars, we all have 2 cars in the front. And they use the garage for the man cave, the typical man, and you see the great big 65-foot TV and couches and chairs. And then to do all the parking, they will take a part of, and I'm alley loaded, they'll take a part, they'll driveway and go in the backyard and pave that. So how will this but we still have green space in the backyard for a tree or 2. How, if we don't hit the wires, how does your recommendation manage existing and or new development that wants to maintain that type of look and feel? Because if from a developer standpoint, if I buy a lot that's like my lot and I want to build, he may not be able to build me what I want if we say that if we make an ordinance say what you're saying. So how do we tell, or how do we allow development that residents or property owners want, opposed to cookie cutter urbanized development that says that everybody must build and it must look like this? How do we do that?
So, you know, we have to decide what we're trying to accomplish here, right? And we do have in the recommendations exceptions where they can go to the Board of Adjustment. So we're not saying that they couldn't. I'm just saying, and hopefully if they want a ginormous, you know, driveway, everything, hopefully they've got the square footage and they can do that, you know, and it's not going to, you know, it's not going to impact the
And my last question, before I let go. Is it the goal to force all of this stuff to a Board of Adjustments, opposed to allowing development to occur by what a resident wants, opposed to what the city has decided they must have?
No, that is not the goal. Again, the goal is, go back to hard way, sorry. You know, again, the goal has come up to, and again, and again, we're, you know, and it's not because, you know, we don't want somebody to be able to do that if they want to do it. It's causing all of these other issues, you know, the stormwater runoff and the heat island impact, and going back to, by the way, the racial equity plan, you know, I saw and heard that, you know, there's a lot more concrete basically in those disadvantaged areas, causing them to have a lot more hotter temperatures, which is really impacting that population. And so, trying to address all of these issues is really what we're trying to do. And again, in order to do that, we've got to be able to try to reduce the impacts of the impervious surfaces. And again, the side and the rear yards, we're not recommending to do anything, with that. And that may be something that, there's a disagreement on, but again, we wanted to allow flexibility for residents. We're trying to strike that balance. We want the residents to be able to, use the property, as they want, and have the developers and the homeowners have that flexibility of design. And so that's why we're trying to come up with these options, with the incentives too, to raise that percentage as well. And if you think that the percentage is not where it needs to be, that's what we need to hear too. But we were basing it again on, the drawings and what could fit, what we're trying to achieve, and the cities across the nation and in this area where a lot of them are at 40 and 50, 50%. So that's what we were trying to do. No, the
Thank
goal
you,
is not
Ms.
to make it
Thank you,
harder.
Vice Chair Blair. I want to, if I may, I think we've covered first round for everybody. I want to just ask a couple questions, but also want to maybe help us all think about how we're going to give staff some direction. I think they're looking for feedback from us so that they can craft ordinance language to bring back to us to advance this conversation. And I think we're hearing some robust discussion, which is good. I think we need to understand what implications are of what we're talking about. Two questions I wanted to ask on Mr. Paul's question on the maps that came through. So these maps were prepared for the city, for the Trust for Public Land. They focused on concrete. Are there similar maps available that also speak to tree coverage areas? I know we heard from our speaker a question about tree coverage. We have a gap. I believe I've seen them for other areas. Do we have those available for our city?
I can see, I'm sure there's some more. These mainly dealt with impervious surfaces. And so that's why I chose, those. We can look for them, but these were actually used and probably many more in order to help us address the lack of canopy coverage, if that makes sense.
And that was going to be my question, because
Yeah,
the
they
trees
go hand-
and the impervious both work together, but they also speak to stormwater and some of the other related items that come out of discussion of impermeable. And Mr. Irwin, did you have a follow-up? I saw your hand go into the button.
I was just going to, Texas Trees Foundation had some reports that have been done in the last 10 years. And we also had some material before that pertaining to tree canopy. So we could probably pull from that information for what you're looking for.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Irwin. Also wanted to follow up on a question about the focus on front yards. This part of this discussion, I think, really came twofold in my mind. One, we were contacted by a resident who had noticed a lot of this. There were discussions going on at CCAP bringing forward their goals for our city overall. But also, I think we had seen a number of cases coming through Plan Commission, a lot of shared access developments that were netting effectively 100% coverage of impervious surface. And so there was kind of a number of factors, and we're trying to understand how do we as a city address that. As staff has submitted this, and I can see the rationale for the focus on the front yard or as an approach, but was there any consideration to a total impervious coverage by lot? We talk about how much building you can put on the lot as a percentage, and maybe we need to move away from that as the metric, as Mr. Baring noted. But was there any consideration of, X amount, should be maintained on a lot by lot basis that again speaks to this overall how are we managing development within our city? Was that anything staff evaluated?
Thank you very much for the questions and comments, Chair Hampton. We did, you know, we spoke with, again, with, you know, a lot of the internal departments and stormwater management and, you know, heard about the lot, the entire lot and how that's managed through the storm rates, the utility rates. So that is one thing that is being addressed anyway on a per lot basis, as far as the rates. Also though, you know, we looked at all of these other cities and only one was found that actually has a rear yard maximum impervious coverage. And that's only for row house development, nothing else. So, you know, that and just looking at, you know, other ordinances that are already in place, again, that affect the lot to lot drainage, you know, also how difficult is that for us to, or code enforcement or just the homeowner, you know, to try to figure out, you know, if they're in compliance, you know, eyes on the street is going to be the front yard for the most part, right? I mean, that's something that you can visibly see. I mean, in this picture, if they had just paved over the backyard, maybe you probably wouldn't have ever even seen it, you know, but I think we're focusing on the front yard for all of those reasons. And, you know, and we do have the front entry access to that, you know, that's a concern. You've got compatibility, and that's where the compatibility issues are, right? It's really not, I don't think we'd really look at compatible backyards, or rear yards, or side yards. You know, we're looking at the compatibility along a block base. And that's what you're seeing from the front, right? So, you know, that and just having already other ordinances in place for the lot to lot drainage, the pool ordinance that, you know, also regulates that water, that drainage, wanting, you know, to have the developers and the homeowners to be able to utilize their, you know, a lot of people entertain in their backyards. And we just really didn't, we're trying to do this fairly conservatively, address our problems, and that's really all at the end of the day. And we want to make that fairly simple. We don't want to add to the cost of, you know, having the homeowner hire an engineer maybe to try to figure out all of these complicated calculations or regulations, you know, and that's why we showed in the example, if you know the lot width and you know the setback, you know, then you know what that calculation is going to be, and then you just multiply it by the percentage that whatever we land on. So I hope that helps. I hope that
It's helpful to understand, I think, the approach on that and understanding how other municipalities are covering things. Two just comments. We heard our speaker talk about, you know, future materials, and I think we see this throughout our code in different sections. Is there any consideration of, I think as we're seeing synthetic turf as an example installed today, it's not meeting what I think we anticipate in our permeability that we maybe may need overall. But is there something that should be considered in terms of language that either sets a metric or allows for, you know, submittal of a material that demonstrates compliance? In the code world, that's known as alternative method. Is that something that this group should consider as we think about language?
Thank you. Well, Bill can speak on this more, but there is something to keep in mind. The turf or the synthetic turf is you can have it anywhere where it's not required landscaping. And as you've heard, for residential, the required landscaping is really the trees. So,
well, I guess just thinking broadly, as we talk about design standards,
right.
And if we talk about other options to meet this, I guess I'm just saying, and again, that was an example. do we want to allow something that allows for essentially demonstrating that you're meeting it with something that we may not know of today?
Sure, and yeah, and it's in the definition from impermeable coverage, impervious coverage. If it's done properly, and we know that, again, that deals with the soil compaction and everything, it may be that it's more permeable. That's why we have exceptions right now for the Board of Adjustment. I know that may not be what you're talking about, and maybe we need to look at that, but I don't know. Did you have
So-
anything you wanted to say?
Well, if
Yeah.
that's clear, that's just something I think that might be helpful. And I'm going to do one final follow-up, but I think we may have lost Mr. Navarez, and I should have jumped in and asked this earlier. On the question of the driveway width, so we've talked about driveway approaches, we've talked about how that might be thought about, understanding that maybe there's one of the diagrams I believe we saw that was prepared by Mr. Raines, showed a 12-foot minimum, up to 20 feet. Has there been any consideration, and is that anything that could be part of these requirements? Essentially, as a design standard, you could get the bonus by doing a maximum of 12 feet. Not required, but it's an option should someone want to, implement that, again, as a way to manage what's coverage and maybe incentivize folks to move that direction. But is that something that is within our purview to think about?
Yeah, I think it is, but we can look at it again and make sure. I think we're saying that you can get the extra with the permeable. You can go like up to the 20.
Well,
But are you saying?
I'm going to use a
Not
very
permeable?
specific example in that I think a lot of times, and I think Mr. Barron can likely speak to this as well, is that there is a driveway width of 20 feet that ends up being required. And required versus, or a design leads to it. And so what I'm trying to understand is there a way to think about a narrower driveway, which is our more traditional development pattern that leads to greater, essentially lawn area, open area in the front yard, and just trying to understand where there may be other roadblocks in our code that don't allow that. So trying to understand what we can do here versus are there other areas that may be influencing that?
Yeah.
Or if he wants to respond separately, I see his name, but I'm not sure if we've still got him. Mr. Barron?
I'm here.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
we're trying to see if we've got Mr. Navarez.
David Navarez, are you still there?
And if not, we could maybe
Okay.
just ask him to
Yeah,
follow up.
maybe we'll
So
ask
I
later.
think we're going to go to a second round, and if we could start maybe adding things that we would like to see come back to us as we're going through second round. Oh, there is Mr. Navarez. Do you need me to repeat the question, Mr. Navarez? So it was a very long way of saying, how do we think about driveway widths and driveway requirements? And is that something that is outside of Chapter 51A that may be requiring driveway widths, for instance, of 20 feet? Whether it was through fire, whether it was through dual
Yeah.
access.
Thank you. You have no idea how important these items are and how much it affects our review on a daily basis. Standards for driveway widths are straight from the street design manual. I'm looking at them right now. They're on my screen. They're always on my screen because that's how we review projects. It's something that the commission should know is that we strive for narrow driveways, and it's really hard for us to be able to achieve narrow driveways. Developers love large driveways, no matter what the land use is. Even if it's a single family residential home, they want a 24-foot driveway. Our standard allows for residential streets, the minimum is 10. And yet developers, property owners, they love their 24-foot driveway. Larger developments, commercial, industrial, commercial, let alone, they want 50-foot driveways. People, they say people aren't walking here. Well, there is evidence of pedestrians walking. To answer your question, ma'am, the standards for driveway width are not in 51A, are straight in the street design manual. But I would gladly see, I would love to see something from your commission, something out of Lori's work that gives us some guidance as to what should be expected, not just from city staff in our review, but also from the development community as far as expectations. And by all means, I think that if you want to trade driveway width in exchange for something else, that's something that 51A could introduce. I always say, you know, with more regulations make reviews more complicated, but that's definitely in your purview, and we would greatly appreciate ways to engage in a conversation with, and I say developers. Developers has a negative connotation because developer sounds like a person with a lot of money. Actually, that's wrong. My colleagues are laughing in the background. Property owners should have the ability to start their design thinking of narrow driveways. And that is, as of right now, that's nowhere in our code, nowhere in our standards. Your commission should have the ability to introduce that. That was a long
Thank you,
answer. I apologize, but as you can say, I can tell we have something.
It was helpful context, so thank you for that. I think we'll all be reviewing, or some of us will be reviewing the street design manual this evening. Mr. Bering, second round.
Ma'am, figure 4.62, figure 4.62, page 144 of the street design manual. If anyone needs a copy of that report, please contact me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bering.
Sure. I think just to touch on that point, one thing I've observed, which is not something the city has generally had funds in the budget for, but is to maintain the alleys. When we maintain our alleys, we're able to, especially on smaller sites, design one-way driveways, which allow for the narrower driveway. And we just, in general, I mean, for the most part, don't maintain our alleys or improve them. So that's one thing I think related to this issue is, you know, are there target areas where we can, you know, get the most bang for our buck for investing in the alleys? One thing that I touched on in my email was, which is a much bigger topic, but is the redefinition of multifamily, not to start at 3 units, but to start at maybe 8 units. I gave the example of Old East Dallas, and you're seeing all up and down these 4 or 6 townhomes or apartment units on a single lot. And those, because they're greater than 2 units, require a 20-foot driveway. All this is related to impervious surface. If you've got a 20-foot driveway and a building that's 50% of the lot, that's 90% impervious, just even with garage parking. So again, I think we started down the road in our parking discussion 2 years ago of possibly breaking out. I think there was a discussion around 5,000 square foot commercial buildings or less being held to a different standard. And I think there's, again, related to impervious surface and percent of lot coverage, there's a lot of sense in breaking out lesser standards, less prohibitive standards for single lot and smaller, housing in particular, but really anything that could fit within a community better if they weren't held to the same standards as a much larger development. So one comment I had related to the staff's proposals was I think it would be helpful to see a table of the 8 recommendations, their proposed standards, and then I got a little lost in looking at the alternative paths. There were some that indicated there could be an administrative approval and some that indicated there could be an exception. I think that would be helpful to see broken out in table form. Related to that, and perhaps this was in there, would the percentages, for example, the first recommendation, would those apply to PDs and form districts as well? I understand we're talking about residential at this time.
Yeah, it's residential. You know, so I guess it depends.
Okay.
If it applies to PDs, because it's going to depend on if it defaults back to, you know, just like all of our other amendments, if it defaults back to requirements of 51A, then, you know, it might apply. But if it has very specific requirements, then it won't. But yeah, it's meant for just for residential. And then form-based has its own regulations, but I guess it could. I mean, if it's, you know, if it's actually a residential, if it falls in within the residential development.
Right. I appreciate that on page 10, staff's recommendations for impervious coverage percentage. It mentions that a deviation, I suppose, can be approved administratively. I think administrative approval is almost always preferred to another board of adjustment process. I'm thinking in particular of, I know in the form district, there are some sub-districts, we've done a project in one that require 90% of the building to be in the build to zone. In other words, kind of a minimum and maximum front yard setback. And so there's instances, like many things, where there would be conflicts, right? So in that sub-district, you've got 90% of the building required to be in that zone, but then you're going to hold them to a 40%, you know, impervious surface. So there's conflict. So I think wherever there can be an administrative override, that is helpful. So I guess my main point was just that seeing the table of all the recommendations and the paths to an exception, I guess. And I just also lastly want to reiterate, I think with David's first comment, that I don't think we can decouple this with the materials list and the fact that, you know, currently we're requiring concrete and asphalt only. I think we've got to consider opening that up if we're going to hold to these percentages. I'm less concerned with, I think, residential development or single family, right? If you take a 50-foot lot, which in theory would be the most restrictive, and you've got a 10-foot driveway and a sidewalk, you know, that's maybe 20% of the front yard. And if our standard is 40%, then I think that's plenty generous in a residential setting. I think, like I mentioned earlier, where we go 3 units and larger on the residential side, and 3 units triggers a 20-foot driveway, then we get into these percentages being more problematic and need to open up the materials to allow some flexibility. So thank you.
Thank you. If I might, the sidewalk would not factor in to the impervious coverage calculations, because again, it's just on the property. You know, it's you know, to the front property line, or the setback basically to the front property line. So it doesn't, you know, it's not the public realm of right away.
Thank you, Ms. Levy. Other members? See Commissioner Carpenter online, and then Commissioner McGregor.
Was there any consideration? I mean, I'm having a little difficulty in completely eliminating the rear and side yards from this discussion. I know you say that there are ordinances that affect lot-to-lot drainage for those, but wouldn't those same ordinances affect the front yard? I understand what you're talking about with compatibility issues from the look of the front yard, but it just seems if we're looking at this from a climate point of view, it's totally undesirable for a lot to be completely paved, especially in its rear yard. was there any and it seems to me a lot of these calculations are going to happen at plan review. It's not going to be someone eyeballing it from the street, but sitting down with plans, doing plan review. Was there any consideration whatsoever into giving some sort of, maximum percentage of impervious in a rear yard? And then how were swimming pools and water features considered for pervious or impervious? I mean, a swimming pool is water at the top, it's concrete at the bottom, or whatever that material is, gunite or something. So. Ms. May?
Okay. I'm going to start backwards and go forward.
Okay.
So I'll start with the swimming pool question. So our code already says that a private swimming pool for residents must be located in the rear yard, or it may not be located in the front yard setback.
Well, some exceptions. I'm sorry. We certainly
it may not be located in a front yard setback. And so your only remedy would be go to the Board of Adjustment and vary your front yard setback. You had to prove a property hardship and all that other jazz.
But would it be considered pervious or impervious if it were allowed to be in a front yard?
Impervious, because it does not, according to the proposed definition, it says means any surface that prevents or substantially impedes the natural infiltration of stormwater into the ground. So I would say a pool would prevent stormwater flowing into the ground.
Well, just the decking. It's actually, from what I saw, it's actually.
Yeah, I'm thinking like an in-ground pool where the water is.
Right.
That would be impervious because there's no flow into the ground. But I mean, we can include it or exempt it, whatever y'all feel like doing. We're here throwing ideas out.
No, my understanding was that was one of the original questions, was asking how pools and fountains were going to be considered, and I didn't see that specifically addressed in the report.
Right, and I think the reason why we didn't specifically address it is because all of the cities that we've compared, 15 was it?
No, it was 22.
22. Only one of them had a standard where it was regulating impervious coverage out, more than just the front yard setback. So the standard is to only restrict the front yard setback. And so I think it would be really unique, difficult for our homeowners and for builders to come up with this whole new concept of looking at the entire lot, having to calculate, our finely articulated roof lines, that little storage shed you had in the back, all the little things that would contribute to impervious coverage. And so because of how complicated it is, that every other city does front yard, that if they have any regulation at all, they may not have any regulation, no guess. We wanted to start with just looking at the front yard. Not only that, but, it'll be easier for code compliance to be able to cite violators or people that need to come into compliance one way or the other when it's just in the front yard. They don't typically peek over fences from what I understand, unless they absolutely have to. So, that's why we were limiting it to the front yard and why we didn't really address pools since they're not allowed in the front yard, per code. And if they need to expand and go beyond whatever percentage, the body's wanting to go with, then they can go to the board and have a neighborhood discussion on what would be appropriate if it's beyond. And also, and Lori already covered this, but we're also adding a provision for neighborhood stabilization overlays to add it on there. So it could be, you have a very rural like neighborhood that is seeing a lot of development pressure because it's just zoned R75, and they want to add an NSO, and they also really don't like, whatever percentage the code says, is the maximum. And so they could add a further restriction. I think it's even possible, if y'all are interested, for an NSO to make the restriction less restrictive than the code. So all these are just ideas that we're trying to, get your feedback on and what it is you're comfortable with, and what you want us to work on draft regulations for.
Thank you, Ms. May. And I see that Commissioner Popkin just joined us at 10:49. Good morning. Commissioner Carpenter, did we answer your question?
Yes, you answered that. I have a lot of questions, more than, is going to be possible for this meeting. I can always email them. But I do have one additional question I would like to ask here about the driveway lengths, because I'm seeing I'll leave the access from the alley off. But, in one part of the report, I read that you weren't going to touch the requirement for having a 20-foot driveway coming from a street, because it was necessary to have that much length to keep cars from, crossing over the sidewalks or into the public street, that sort of thing. But then when I was looking at the report today, it seemed to be that there was a proposal, and it may have been in incentives, I don't remember, to allow 20 feet if you're impervious, but to have a maximum of 12 feet if you're pervious. And then also I'm trying to understand the rationale for allowing, if 20 feet is necessary for safety, what would be the rationale for allowing a special exception to reduce that length?
That one, okay, so just remember that 20-foot setback is for like the length of the driveway. So it's not a setback to the property line for the garage structure. It's a setback required of an enclosed parking space is what the code says. So the reason why we don't want to lessen that to a street is because if a car comes and parks behind a garage door, which it frequently does, that means it's going to probably block the sidewalk. It's going to make it difficult for people in wheelchairs, pushing a stroller, kids running down the sidewalk. It's a safety hazard to have a car blocking a sidewalk. So that's why we don't want to do that. But there's no sidewalks on alleys. So that's why we're proposing, to exempt alleys from that standard. And then the special exception rationale is that there could be situations where, let's say you're in a, again, either rural or very park-like setting neighborhood, and your parkway is, 10, 20 feet before you get to the sidewalk. You might be able to park the car there, and but we don't want to, write these things into the code to be administrated, because there could just be unique situations for particular lots. Maybe there is no sidewalk, and so we're proposing to have this as a special exception, because the board currently sees quite a few variances to the off-street parking requirement for a 20-foot setback for enclosed parking space. And I'm sure Mr. Navarez could also opine on that somewhat, but because I learned a lot of that from him. But but the board does see a lot of variances, because that's the only thing you can get right now, to vary that requirement of a 20-foot setback to a street or an alley for that enclosed parking space. So we're just proposing another avenue so that they don't have to prove a property hardship, and instead it would be more of a life safety, review and traffic, considerations that would be considered at the board.
One final question here. With this non-standard material agreement, does it have standards for containment of this material? Because I know in my residential neighborhood, we're beginning to see construction of some single-family homes called haciendas that are using what I'll just call gravel. I don't know what it actually is. It's for driveway. And I'm here in elementary school, and I've never been down the driveway, down this public sidewalk since these homes were put in, that the sidewalk wasn't covered with this material. So it's, I see kids on bicycles and skateboards and skates, coming to, having to deal with migrating gravel. So how do the existing codes come into play here?
And I think again that might be David Navarez. So again, from what I've seen from the list of approved alternative surfaces, they do have border requirements. So if they are to use some, crushed granite or whatever, it says it has to have a compacted subgrade and of a certain number of inches, and the crushed granite has to have a certain number of inches depth, and then it also has to have like a 6 foot border, not 6 foot, 6 inch border or something like that. So there are standards and specifications that the Public Works Department has prescribed in their alternative surfaces, so that the system of the alternative surfaces prevent the materials from migrating offsite. And so if there are areas where people have just taken it upon themselves to do whatever it is they want to do, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're complying with the requirements of the law. It might just be they didn't want to drive over dirt, so they added some materials, and that wasn't necessarily what Public Works recommends for alternative surfaces.
Right. I'll follow up with Mr. Navarez. Thank you.
Ms. May,
Thank you,
I?
Commissioner. Oh,
quick-
Mr. Navarez, are you with us? We don't see you, but I think we may hear you.
I think you see me now.
Not yet.
I can see.
Yes, you
Yes,
just came
okay.
up. Thank you.
Thank you. Incidentally, and this will be a short answer this time. Incidentally, I have my old boss, Lloyd Denman, who's now a consultant for us, a source of a lot of information specifically on this regard. He would be the one signing off on alternative materials in his time with the city. So we're listening. We're very impressed. I shouldn't say that, but with Sarah's and Lori's presentation and answers. So also perfect source of information. We don't kill the messenger. Just wanted to remind that everyone that the question is very valid. I think that one of the concerns that we have as engineers regarding non-permeable surfaces or non-standard materials is the negative consequences of them. We don't want granite running out onto the street. We don't want it spilling out onto sidewalks. We don't want it to go down into an inlet and block it. We don't want wheels to spin and hit others, child walking right next to them. So those are very serious elements of design that we have to take into account. Yes, by all means, we want run or stormwater to penetrate the floor at a much faster rate, but we need a standard, a coefficient by which we're measuring that number. And then also that's a technical aspect, but then for the practical aspect is we also need standards as to the design, and we don't have them for the most part.
Thank you, Mr. Navarez. That's good information for our group to understand. And so we have a request. I think we're going to try to bring a summary to a close, but we've had a request for a 5-minute break. So we will adjourn. It is 10:57 a.m. and we'll be back on the record at 10:05, or excuse me, 11:05. I'll just make it even. We'll go with 8 minutes. So 11:05 a.m. Mr. McGregor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be brief. I mostly want to see what staff comes up with next that I can react to. One area I'm interested in is, and it's something that came up several times, it seems that the 40% is a one size fits all for different types of developments, and it really doesn't, as has been mentioned, I think with townhouses and smaller lots it might not work. So I'm curious to see how you think through that. I did see from the tables that I didn't see any other cities who adjusted that percentage as you went down into townhouse and multifamily. So that's really the lingering thing for me. In general, I'd say being aggressive in this day and age is a good thing. It may not as was pointed out by the gentleman from the public, may not have as a big impact as it would in commercial properties, but yeah, let's be aggressive, but let's make sure that it's the right fit for the different type of property. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGregor. Any other comments, or I will read through these and open it up to have others add in. So started with Mr. Baring's suggestion that as the recommendations come back, we'd have those in the table format so that we can understand how the format and how they'd be implemented. Suggestion to include a tree coverage map to help understand how, if there are tree provisions as a part of this and how this relates to the heat map. Consideration of alternative materials, and I think we're going to have the driveway material information from Mr. Navarez distributed to us. Consideration of additional driveway provisions, such as width or length within the design options. And as Mr. McGregor just noted, percentage recommendations on smaller lots or by districts to understand how those might be considered. Those were sort of the broad discussion points. Percentage recommendations for smaller lots or by district. Ms. Levy, yes. Which one do I need to reread? And also opening it back up for members for other items that we would like to see enhanced when this comes back. What did you say about that? Consideration of additional driveway provisions such as width or length within the design options.
Also, is that would that be considered also? You would know if we're having standard for I'm sorry.
Vice Chair Blair.
Can we also look at standards for front entry standards as opposed to rear entry standards when it comes down to width of driveways, length of driveways, and
I guess I'm not necessarily understanding. If you have a rear entry garage, it wouldn't be within the front yard setback.
but see, so are we only looking at front yard setbacks? Because I know we had a lot of discussion about the driveways and back.
That's what we recommend. If y'all wanted to go through the numbers of things and
No.
say yay or nay, or
No.
or I don't want to look at the front yards, I'm gonna look at the whole thing.
No.
You know, y'all
Yeah,
can
so
say
we're
things like
only
that.
looking at front yard. I'm good. Okay.
I do want to actually add, that reminded me of one I didn't actually get on my own list, which I had gone back and pulled our green building program, which has a lot coverage requirement as a part of the prescriptive method that requires, as I can just pull it up and read it. It is 70% of the non-roof area to address stormwater. And if we could understand how these provisions relate to that green building. And I should say, as a clarification, that is specific for 1 or 2 family dwelling unit new construction.
Sure.
Mr. Hall.
With the driveway provisions, could that include some discussion on ribbon versus slab? Would that be
part of design standards, Ms. May?
Yes, I think Ms. Levy was thinking about in the incentivizing design for a bonus percentage that ribbon driveways, in addition to other methods of slowing water down, or from running off directly into the stormwater so quickly, might be some of the materials that could be included in.
I'm a fan of the ribbon driveways, but yes, I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. Good clarification. Mr. Baring.
was the thought in keeping the same standard for maximum impervious coverage for single family and multifamily? And would it make sense to break that out as a separate category?
And I think that may be captured. We'd asked staff to look at percentage recommendations at smaller lots or potentially by district. And so I think your point would be that we would perhaps consider it single family separate from other residential districts. Is that correct? Go ahead, Ms. May.
Oh, and I would add that in all residential districts, the required parking is not allowed in the front yard setbacks. So even though multifamily, because it has more units than single family, typically have more parking associated with them, that it really wouldn't. Yes, and Lori has a nice picture. Oh, sorry, I thought you were. Yeah, no, that's right. Right. If you can go to like the multifamily design illustration, we've seen that in a lot of small lot multifamily developments. We see a lot of shared access developments or things that look like shared access that might look more like what we see in our screen. And so the code prohibits the placement of like guest parking spaces in the front yard. So so this was the kind of generic design we were envisioning to be the most prevalent front yard situation for multifamilies or shared access development and things like that. So I'm happy to discuss these things further if you'd like.
Sure. I suppose my comment was to align it with, for example, if in a single family and duplex, it's a 10-foot required drive and 3 units and larger is a 20-foot, then maybe to reflect that there's a different max percentage.
Well, I think it's just asking, Mr. Bering, am I correct? You're just asking staff to evaluate if that's something that we should consider in terms of the standards, that there would be a distinction between single family and duplex versus multifamily, either in terms of percentage of impermeability or in how the design standards might be crafted.
Correct.
Does that make sense, Ms. May? Yeah. And Mr. Bering, the clarification staff was looking for is if this might be, and I think staff's looking for direction. I don't know if we have direction yet. Are there going to be specific design requirements? But that would, are you looking for staff's recommendation on that? And that would then be what we will respond to at our next meeting? Or do you have a specific thought you'd like to see?
On which number? Sorry.
On the design standards for single family and duplex versus multifamily. Thank you.
I think we're asking, are you just wanting us to look at the different percentages for those types, like a variable, or is it something else as well that you're asking us to look at?
Yeah, I think initially it's the percentages. Again, recognizing this is beyond the scope of this item and a much larger conversation, but I do think there's a case to be made for, again, treating smaller buildings as more of a single family standard when it comes to these design standards and driveway widths. But in general, that's correct.
So it's probably a combination of lot size in addition to single family and duplex.
Right, and just making sure that we are all on the same page on how, like the driveway width, like the throat of the where the driveway connection happens at the right-of-way line, that's something that is governed by another document that we can't really. But our hope was, if we have a restriction, whatever that may be, whatever that percentage is, that it would help encourage smaller, more narrow driveways.
Understood.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. May. We realize there's a few other folks who will be having related sections to our action. Okay, so staff had a summary on page 19 and 20 of our case report. Were there any comments on the definition, adding impervious coverage definition? Okay, seeing none. So the second item generally was applying impervious coverage to residential front yards. So I think we've asked for some consideration of the overall percentages, as well as if there might be, and I'm going to use the term whole lot, but how that relates to other provisions such as our green building code. And I think this relates to item 3, which is the impervious coverage maximum, as well as 4, which is design standards. I think that was the focus of our conversation and the comments that we went through. Any discussion on the reduced parking requirements?
I have a question about this.
Commissioner Carpenter.
Yes, for staff, what are you envisioning would get built if there was no parking requirement for a single family home? I mean, are you envisioning no driveway, no parking garage?
I think we would envision that there would be a lot more options. Like, not that we have one design in particular, but that you could still build your standard, 2,000 square foot single family home with a 2-car garage, or you could build a much smaller home if there's no parking required.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm trying to wrap my mind around, what it would actually accomplish realistically if you made no parking requirement. I mean, I could understand one parking space, but I mean, would anyone actually, I mean, given that most people, their house is a big investment and they're concerned about resale value down the road, would anyone actually buy a house that had no provision for parking a car?
I think the answer is yes, there could be a time where that's possible. There are people who don't have cars that live in our city.
Yeah, because I mean, one thing I'm seeing right now with shared access developments that have been built in West Dallas are the ones that have literally no driveway, just a little neck or whatever you call that, that gets you off the shared access drive into the garage, is that people don't really like to park their car. I mean, it's inconvenient for people to park their cars in their garage every single time they come and go. So what you see is people who go, oh, I'm just going to be running in here for a second because I forgot X, Y, or Z. They just kind of snug their car up against the side, and you can try to drive down these streets and there's just cars, up and down. And I know they all have little no parking signs, but it just doesn't seem to me very realistic. Has there been any consideration of the way this is, or I mean, I hear anecdotally that these shared access developments that just have the parking for an individual unit in their, in their garage, and then have the 0.25 guest parking scattered across the site, just it isn't working for people. But do you have any comments about that?
Well, I think what I want to say is, again, this is required parking. So if someone, feels the need for more, they can have that. But there are a lot of single homeowners now. There's a lot of people who, have one vehicle, who live alone now. And, we don't want to, or maybe they don't drive at all. And we don't want to have to continue to require 2 parking spaces for those people, or, for anyone when they don't need it, but yet they would still have to build it. And so if we're saying, we're going to put a percentage of impermeable coverage that impacts your driveway, then we need to take something away too and say, well, I guess what we're saying is you have to meet this impervious coverage percentage, but yet we still are going to require you to have 2 parking spaces that you don't even need. So
I'm saying I can see one. I'm just trying to figure out what practically in the real world would happen with no, I just can't picture a duplex, a single family home that has no provision for outside for off-street parking.
Well, I think it's just, going to be up to, if a builder can sell that home and if that person can make it work. I live in a half of a duplex where the parking requirement now is 2 spaces per unit, but it was built in the 80s, so there's only 1 space, and we make it work. And we've made choices on how many cars that we need and how many cars we want, how we're going to negotiate it, because parking's pretty tight on our block. It's only allowed on one side, and there's high demand. So people make choices depending on where they live and what infrastructure they have in their area, that we just don't want to say as a city, you absolutely always have to provide X number of spaces, and we're going to restrict how much driveway you can have.
What is the rationale for continuing the prohibition on tandem parking? I mean, most of us do have families or partners or guests or whatever. We do some version of tandem parking all the time in driveways that we're used to, putting one car here and leaving this one over there so that you can, get out the next time.
So tandem parking was something I think that was allowed since the 1960s code. And then whenever we adopted 51A, about that time, so at the late 80s, tandem parking was removed from the code. And I'm guessing from the stories that I've heard from people that came before me, the reasons why it was removed was because people felt like even though there was 2 parking spaces, only 1 car used it, or there was, other concerns. And so I think the reason why it was removed is because they felt like it wasn't as functional as they were hoping that it would be. Although we park tandemly, so
yeah, I thought if we were trying to preserve flexibility, that possibly revisiting the approval of tandem parking might be a tool in the toolbox.
But again, I think tandem parking is only needed when we have a lot of parking required. So if we just have less parking required, we don't need to say tandem parking.
Well, or it can be if a developer decides to, it's not required, but he or she want more parking, it would be an option if they wanted to build it that way.
So I'm going to maybe expand on Commissioner Carpenter's example, if I may. I'm familiar with an affordable housing project that needed to provide an additional space, and it was not able to utilize the driveway space behind the garage. Again, the district would have allowed that to happen within the front yard. So they were required to then create a slip space to the side of the garage. And I think if I'm hearing Commissioner Carpenter's point, if the tandem parking was allowed, they would be able to utilize that space. Again, whether it was required or if it was something that was market driven, but would allow maybe flexibility to think about how they're using what they're installing in lieu of prescribing 2 parking spaces or no parking spaces. Again, just another tool in the toolbox. Did I capture that correctly, Commissioner Carpenter?
Yes, better than I did. Thank you.
So I think for now, it sounds like we'll pull forward with both of the recommendations and discuss this further at our next meeting. Alley setbacks for enclosed, well, actually, before we leave that, I would say it sounds like one thing we would want to understand is, should tandem parking be something that is considered as a part of our recommendations here, or will that be within the parking discussion? And that is a question for Ms. May.
I think it would be better utilized with the parking code amendment that's coming in the upcoming months.
I believe we have folks behind us who may be taking note of that. All right, so item 6, alley setback for enclosed parking spaces. I think the question I heard from Ms. Bagley was whether or not we should include the operator requirement there. So if we were to consider eliminating the 20-foot setback for the alley for the garage, do we need the operator? I think that pulled forward from form-based code, but it sounds like that's something we may want to look at in more detail. And any comments on special exception for Board of Adjustment? Okay, so seeing none, we'll move forward with that. Any comments on adding the neighborhood stabilization overlay options? I'm seeing none. And then landscaping requirements. I know we had a lot of discussion about permeability and materials. I think it's one of the things we asked to have more material information brought forward to us. Consideration of potential alternate or flexibility in how those material options might be crafted. Any comments on number of trees? I think we're going to have more discussion on that. Yes, Commissioner Popkin.
As this relates to the definition, and I apologize if this is something that's already been covered, but I just had a quick question about permeable paving and why it's included in the definition as impervious. Asphalt, concrete, wood, crushed granite pavers. Because in my experience, pavers are typically more permeable. Why is this something, is that part of the conversation? That
yes, and I think Mr. Irwin's going to provide us some supplemental information based on what they've been seeing done. Some of it is within engineering review, but I think our next case report will likely address that. And I'll make a note to make sure we have that. Thank you, Commissioner Popkin.
I'll look forward to that. Thank you.
Yeah, so if we can make sure that we include that just in the update on our report. Thank you, Mr. Irwin, Ms. May. All right. So I know we'll probably come back to more discussion on the trees as we get back to this item, and then the other clarifications as recommended by Mr. Irwin. Anything that we missed? I went through it quickly. It will be coming back to us, so I think we'll have more opportunities, but want to make sure if there's other items we want included. Commissioner Carpenter, I see your hand.
Yes, I did have one question, because the way I understand it now, Article 10 sets a certain number of trees up to 7,500, and then after that, it's the same. But there's a lot of gap between 7,500 and the whatever it is, 43,000 square foot per acre. Was there any? What was the reason for? To have a certain number of trees required for 7,500 square feet, and then have that stay the same up till you get to an acre seems to give. The larger lots that are under an acre could still be under treed if we're trying to, get a greener city. So I was just trying to figure out why we were jumping from 7,500 to an acre to increase the recommended number of trees.
Mr. Irwin.
Yes. Generally, it was, we're talking about Article 10 element that has been applied since 1994 that it allowed 3 trees. Originally, it was totally 3 trees per lot regardless. Mm-hmm. We have now made adjustments in 2018 to scale down the number of trees based on lot size, based on limitations of where to place the trees. It seemed a logical process to allow for some kind of adjustment by the time we get up to about an acre of a lot to be able to start adding required trees back into the account. And we would adjust the number of trees per acre, number of trees per square footage differently than we would do currently under a commercial application. So it's just a matter of being able to provide a logical process of we need more required trees on a large lot.
But would a lot just slightly under an acre still need more trees than a 7,500 square foot lot? That's what I'm trying to, why there's such a big gap between 7,500 and an acre.
It's just applying what the city would require for a property to apply. In many instances, property owners are going to plant above the minimum requirement. We're just establishing a new minimum standard for when you get above an acre. So we're not trying to establish a process once we get over 7,500 square feet, essentially because historically we have not addressed that as a city for anything above the 7,500 square feet. We wanted to maintain a minimal press on that.
Okay.
So just to clarify, we're not addressing or proposing to address between 7,500 and 1 acre, we're only establishing a minimum above 1 acre in what's before us today. Is that
That is
correct?
correct.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification, Mr. Irwin, and Commissioner Carpenter for the question. All right. Any other final questions, other items to come back to us? I'm looking at members, seeing none. Staff, is that clear? Any detail needed on any items?
There's a few tables and tree coverage maps, alternate, the table of non-standard materials, I think is what they call it over there in engineering. Considering if there's any width or length standards for driveways, considering if there should be a higher percentage for smaller lots, green, the standards for green building for 1 and 2 family new construction. Oh, yeah. Right, yeah. A higher percentage of impervious for a smaller lot. Right. And if that's going to be the other case. And just more explanation on why the materials listed in the definition are included in the proposed definition. And so that's what my notes basically say. Let me know if I missed anything.
Lot coverage related to the city's green building program.
Oh, right. Yes. Sorry. I probably wrote that in a different way.
Yeah. Thank you, Ms. May. All right, members. Final discussion. Seeing none, we will look forward to this. Oh, Mr. Hall.
I can't resist. In our building, we do have some tandem parking spaces assigned to 2-bedroom units. They are thoroughly disliked. And especially if you have 2 cars, I cannot imagine anybody requesting a tandem unit. I don't think they add anything to the value, at least in our building. So not a fan.
That was my understanding as well. Like it didn't quite work as envisioned.
Well, we'll look forward to that coming back to us at a future date. So thank you, members, for all the discussion today. That was our one discussion item. Our other matters today are approval of our meeting minutes. I reviewed the minutes and recalled that we had additional discussion as we were moving forward on the child care to come back to us or to move forward, but I don't have my notes with me. So did anyone else have questions on the minutes as submitted and circulated? Right, and we passed the item on. The minutes reflect that we made a motion per staff's recommendation, but I recall we had additional discussion. And so I'm going to recommend we hold the minutes for approval at our next meeting so we can get some clarity.
I would love to know where I got it wrong. So
And I will check my notes and we will circulate. And we'll follow up with staff on that, but I'm going to recommend we hold the minutes so that we can get some clarity on that. So thank you, Vice Chair Blair. We will hold approval of the minutes. I don't know if we formally need to vote on that. I will ask our city secretary, do we need to make a vote on holding action on the minutes? Yeah, I think we just hold them over. Yeah. Okay, but thank you. I know, and I appreciate the city attorney keeping us on our toes and Vice Chair Blair. So with that, we have no further items. We thank our speaker for being with us today and look forward to the continued discussion on this item. Oh, Ms. May, final comments.
I also just wanted to mention, and I think it went out an email that we do have 2 listening sessions for the public coming up for the parking code amendment. Yeah, that would be August the 4th and August the 10th. August the 4th is at noon and August the 10th is at 6 p.m. And Mr. Wade is quarterbacking that effort, and he has updated the web page. So there are links to sign up for those meetings if you're if anybody on the call is listening. So far we have 4 ZOAC members signed up for the first meeting. So if any additional ones want to sign up, there's some room on the second one. No, 4? Yes. Yes. Right. Or so.
If I may, if others of us want to attend, can the city attorney advise us how we can essentially attend the meeting to hear the discussion? I know we've had that procedure before where there's been a number over quorum attending other public meetings. Could we circulate that to the members just in case we do have additional folks attending?
Sorry, and I think the count is 3. And if y'all wouldn't mind me saying the name. Oh, sorry. 3 people told me that they were coming to the first meeting, and I think that was Vice Chair Blair, Ms. Bagley, Mr. McGregor. And did I miss anybody?
I probably haven't signed up yet, but I was planning on listening to the discussion. So if the city attorney could maybe just circulate to us, in case any additional members did want to attend either one of those sessions, just how we need to handle that. But we have 3 confirmed.
And I think that we were thinking you would come on the second meeting. Mr. Hall would be on the 10th. Just in case it doesn't work with your schedule, we're also recording it and it will be made available. So, you don't have to attend unless, right. So
thank you for the clarification, Ms. May. I will elect to do that and keep slots open.
Are both meetings anticipated to be exactly the same? Is it the same material being presented at
The
both?
question on the listening session, is it same presentation?
yes, it will be the same presentation repeated
Great.
on the second date.
Great, thank you.
Unless, maybe, I don't know. I'm anticipating the same presentation.
Thank you,
Great.
Ms. May, and thank you for the reminder on that. We appreciate you circulating the information as we start heading back to discussion on parking. It is 11:39 a.m. We are adjourned. Everyone stay cool this week. Thank you, staff.